Hello. I'm Sorik. This is Sorik Kazemi, and today's video is going to be a pick a group reading. There's going to be 3 piles, and the topic is yes or no. So basically, I'm going to pull an oracle card and roll some astro dice for y'all to do an energy check about what is the situation, what's the vibe, so that you can see, like, does this sound like the thing that you want to ask about? Does this sound like the situation on your mind? And if yes, then I will pull some tarot to get a yes or no, and then finish it off with an inner child oracle card deck to get your advice. And so I will include timestamps in the description below, and links to the decks and anything else that I mentioned will also be in the description below. And if you want to book a personal reading with me, I will also include a link to that in the description below, to my website, so you can see my offerings and book a personal reading with me if you want. So yeah, check those out. But anyway, let's get started. Alrighty, we have 3 piles for you to choose from today. Pile 1, we have the pyrite crystal. For pile 2, we have black tourmaline. And for pile 3, we have citrine. So, take a deep breath, think about your question, and then you can choose one pile or you can choose more than one pile, but I will leave timestamps in the description below. So, meet me at your group. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the pyrite crystal, then this is going to be your group to answer your yes or no question. So I think what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to read this oracle deck message to you, and then I'm going to roll some astro dice to sort of get a energy check on what your situation might be, so that you can determine whether this group is going to be relevant to you or not. If it sounds like your situation, then stick around and I will pull some tarot and an oracle advice card to answer your yes or no. And if this doesn't sound like your situation, then you can try picking another group, or perhaps today's just not for you, but, up for you to determine. Anyway, let's do your energy check. So for your Wild Unknown Alchemy card, we have Ash. Okay, let me read you Ash from the guidebook. Sinis, Ash, card number 33. Keywords: memory, ancestors, the past. Ash represents what has come before it. The fire is over now, and its flames took with it all recognizable form of what was burned. Only memories and the soft, gray, ashen substance remain. When this card appears, look back and sift through what has occurred. You are in the realm of ancestors, past relationships, and those that have passed to another realm. Be gentle with the process, as it is delicate and sacred. The Ash card asks us to tend to the true nature of endings, grief, and letting go. You may be asked to be present with others experiencing loss. When in doubt, be like Ash. It is silken, light, and easily carried by the wind. Soften into the memories and into the tears. Eventually, forgiveness follows, and the heart travels alight. Okay. Interesting. And then let me also just roll the dice before I start channeling. Okay. So we have South Node in Pisces in the 6th house. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So, immediately what I'm noticing. This ash card speaks about the past. And you also have Ketu, the South Node, this one, as the planet or planetary figure that you've rolled on this dice. And then on top of that, we have the sign Pisces and the number 6, which can represent the 6th house in this case, but also the card number 33 adds up to 6. And 6 in the system of numerology that I use is the number associated with Venus. And Pisces is also the sign where Venus is exalted. It's at its most sort of like, it doesn't have all of its like comfy resources, but Venus in Pisces is being pushed sort of to Venus in Pisces is sort of being pushed to do Venus things in a way that is maybe beyond what Venus would do in her comfort zones of Libra or Taurus, basically, because it's taking on Jupiter's sort of expansive, watery nature. Because Pisces is one of Jupiter's homes. But anyway, so talking about Ash, Ketu, Pisces, the 6th house, and also Venus with the number 6. This is giving me the energy of, obviously the card description itself talked about past relationships, ancestral memories, old patterns. And Ketu, the South Node, also deals with the past, ancestry, the land you come from, the land that you're on right now, the things that are tied to decrease and shrinking and imploding and going inward and being introverted. This is what the South Node represents. So for me, your yes or no question is very much giving the energy of like lots of internal processing has been happening about this situation. You've been dealing with a lot of past patterns, old cycles, old habits that you are used to sort of acting out with regards to this situation. Maybe old wounds or traumas or baggage or patterns from the past have contributed to making this situation the way it is. And if we take the 6th house angle of the dice that I rolled, then this is something that may have been an obstacle to you or a challenge or something that you have been struggling with for quite a while, but like kind of in the background as like just a matter, it's like become so ingrained in you that it's almost a matter of routine. But I don't know, with your crystal being pyrite, another name for pyrite is fool's gold, right? So I feel like there is something here about maybe you mistaking something valuable for something that is not valuable, or vice versa. Like having like had options and like you thought that this thing was going to bring you satisfaction, but actually it turned out to be like a wash. Or you thought that another option was like not worth your time, but now looking back in hindsight, maybe you're like, oh, maybe I should have gone for that option, you know? So something here about, especially with like this like Venus and Pisces energy, like Venus is a lot about like values and what do we value and what sort of like embodied values do we want to live our lives by. Interesting thing also with South Node in Pisces being two of your dice symbols. Hold on, let me get them here. Yeah. So South Node in Pisces is the opposite of what we have in the sky right now. The South Node is in Virgo and the North Node is in Pisces. So someone could be having like their nodal inverse right now if you have uh, Ketu in Pisces in your chart, or if someone else involved in this situation does. With Venus energy from these sixes, it could be that this has to do with a relationship or relationships of some sort in your life. That this is a decision that you've made with regard to another person or other people in your life, where you maybe thought that something was detrimental to your energy or was draining you or was bringing up old patterns from the past that you didn't want to engage in. And so maybe you made a decision while in this past energy, while thinking of these past patterns. But was it the right decision? Or maybe I should say, since this is a yes or no question reading, maybe you are in this energy right now of wondering, I don't know, it, because like this is a, like, is the answer to your question yes or no reading, but it feels to me from this energy like it's like you've already made a decision about something and now you're wondering whether or not it was the right decision or whether or not you should change your mind. Yeah. Okay. So that's the energy check portion on this, is like if your question has something to do with a past relationship, past relationships, old ancestral curse breaking, old patterns that you are revisiting and trying to introspect, and you are wondering how it's affecting your relationship or relationships. If you made a decision in the past and you're wondering, did you make the right choice? Then I think then this is your group. And so what are we going to ask then? Is it a yes or no? I guess I'm going to get two yes or no's for you, because it feels like this group can be pulled in the sort of directions of like, one, did you make the right decision? And two, should you change your mind? Okay, so that's what we're going to do for this pile. Okay. As per usual, the tarot deck that we are using is the Headless Tarot by Violet Magician, which I got off of Etsy, and which is one of my most beloved tarot decks. Oh, and it's also it's very Ketu core, because Ketu is a headless being. And I'm using the Headless Tarot. It makes sense that the Headless Tarot would be one of my favorites, because I have Ketu in my first house. Yeah, I know. You can barely even see my head. But it's true though. Ketu in the first house, it's giving like small head. It's giving small head coded. And I do think I kind of proportionally have a small head. Or so I've been told. Anyway, okay. So for pile one, please give me a yes or no on did they make the right decision? We have the Two of Wands. Okay, so the energy that I'm getting here is that you're really not sure whether you made the right decision in this case. Again, we're getting this energy of like maybe there were like two choices or two paths that you were between. Maybe it had to do with like two different people, two different offers. But regardless, it feels like you're really not sure that you made the right decision. Like it's giving you have significant doubts about whether this was the right choice for you to make. Now, since the Two of Wands is the Mars and Aries card, and this is for the first 10 degrees of Aries specifically, so you or someone involved might have placements in the first 10 degrees of Aries, or you might have Mars and Aries. It's so the interesting things about the Two of Wands being Mars and Aries is that Mars is at home in Aries. Aries is one of Mars's home signs. And so this is implying that like you maybe felt very sure and certain about this decision when you made it, but with hindsight, you are maybe like you have like unearthed new information or come up with a new perspective that is making you less sure now, especially as you've been doing all of this like ash type like ancestral work or like digging up old trauma or processing old events. Maybe new information about your own patterns of behavior or patterns of decision making have popped up that have made it so that you are not as certain about this decision as you were when you made it. The Two of Wands is also like, so on the Kabbalistic tree of life, the twos are associated with the Sephirot or the sphere of Chokmah, which the key word for it is wisdom. So this is very much giving me like wisdom gained from excavating and unearthing past patterns, analyzing past decisions, and maybe that wisdom that you have gained from digging through the past is coming back up for you and you're reconsidering what is valuable. And if you also see the Two of Wands in this deck, the head of it is like crystals. It's like a cluster of crystals. And so maybe you are seeing value in an option that you didn't see before. Maybe you are feeling compelled to change your plans or go back on your choice based on this new information. Okay. Now I think let's do a card for should you change your mind? Because it feels very much like it's giving change your mind core, you know? Ooh, okay. This is very spicy. All right. So, for your should you change your mind card, we have the Tower, which is also Mars. Ooh, interesting. And then at the bottom of the deck, we have the King of Wands. So there's a lot of fire energy here, as well as a lot of water energy. So with the Tower, Mars being your should you change your mind card. It feels like you kind of know that changing your mind might be the better option in this case, but you're reluctant to do it because to change your mind would require some psychological devastation from you. um because the Tower, it's about shocking, like, revelations happening either externally or internally. It's about things that are not built on a solid foundation being brought low to the ground, about things being demolished if they were not built on a steady foundation. And here it feels like after digging through the ashes of the past, maybe you have determined that this decision that you made was not based on solid foundations, but was instead based on the shifting, lightweight ashes of past memories, something like that. And so, yeah, it's very interesting. We've got the Two of Wands, which is Mars and Aries. We've got the Tower, which is Mars. And then we've got the King of Wands as your bottom deck energy, which is also like the fire of fire, because kings are the fire of the court cards and wands is the fire of the suits. So, and ash is also the leftover remnants after fire. And in Vedic astrology, Ketu is also considered to be kind of like fiery and of the nature of Mars. In fact, in Vedic astrology, Ketu and Mars are kind of sometimes considered co-rulers of Scorpio by some astrologers. So there's a lot of fire energy here, but then we have this like Pisces and the Venus and the sixes that are like watery, you know? Pisces is like mutable water. It is the most watery water sign. So we have like all of this fire, but we're working within a realm of water. So it feels like maybe the reason that this decision is hard to make is because it has to do with watery things, with like emotions, connections, felt sensations, things that are not clear and tangible and easily logicked out, because fire is the most like upward going and the least dense of the elements, right? It's upward and it's also concentrated. It doesn't scatter about and go upward like air does. It goes up and holds together. So fire is very like, it's in its head, but it's willful about it. So it feels like this is a decision that you might already kind of know that changing your mind might kind of be a wise option here, but it feels like there's a lot of inner pride that is stopping you from being able to make this shift. Or like, yeah, like there's like, it would require some sort of like breaking down of mental paradigms, breaking down of like the way that you think reality works in order for you to change your mind about this, which is understandably kind of hard to do. So I don't blame you for being unsure about whether you want to change this. It's very hard to make a choice when that choice would literally like require you to destroy and reconstruct your view of reality, you know? But the nice thing here is that the Tower is also about a release of pressure, It's about a breakthrough. It's about a build up, build up, build up of tension that has been forming, and then boom, the lightning strikes and there's an earth-shattering release or even a climax of sorts that occurs. So the nice part of the tower is that even though the pain of this can even be at the level of this would require ego death for you to change your mind, you know? It would really require you to take a moment of humility, not humiliation. I'm not encouraging that, but of just taking a moment to humble yourself and remember that even though you may have wisdom gained from all of these years of past experience, you don't know everything. The tower is path 27, I believe between Netzach and Hod, which is the spheres of Venus and Mercury. So it's very much, again, push and pull between fire and water, or between the logical mind and the heart and the forces of nature. It's no matter how wise and logical we might think we are, we're always subject to being pushed around by fate and nature, you know? And so in this case, it feels like there's some sort of earth-shattering revelation that either you have had or are having that is making you think that the wise thing to do here might be, if you can tolerate it, it might be to change your mind and do something that you would not have done in the past. To make a decision that past you wouldn't have made. To make a decision that feels offensive to your pride, even. What's that thing that Uncle Iroh says in Avatar: The Last Airbender? The true antidote to your pride and your shame is humility. I'm paraphrasing, but he says something like that. So let me get you a card from the Inner Child Oracle as your final capping piece of advice. Remember the good. Okay. Let me show this card. You can pause it and read it, but I will also read it to you right now. Remember the good. In life, it can be easy to focus on what is missing, on what could be better. But if that's where our attention stays, it will hinder us in being able to absorb the magic of living. Take time today to purposefully acknowledge the good things in your life, those that are around you and those that you yourself have accomplished. Okay. So, yeah, I think the advice here would be to, in this situation where you're unsure about the decision you've already made and the future prospect of changing your mind feels kind of scary and off-putting. The advice here is giving me the vibe that it might be helpful for you to write down or voice note yourself talking about, write down or voice note or talk to someone else if you want to talk about this situation to someone else. Either way, do something tangible, written or verbal, that makes you get the good sides of the situation, the possible pros, the possible benefits of changing your mind, and also the possible benefits of not changing your mind. Get those out of your head by either putting them into words or putting them into speech. That's the important thing about, because there is so much fire energy in this reading, fire is very up here. It's very connected to the imaginal realm, but it needs to ground its ideas down in something more tangible, which is why writing or speaking can help with that. If you want to process with someone else, that'll also help. That's kind of like an airy / watery way to process. And then if you want to get down and, I don't know, make something tangible, even make some art about it, that's earthy, you know? Like, just bring those other elements out. Take all of these like pros and cons and like everything that's floating around your mind and make them outside of your head. But focus, because your card says remember the good, focus on what good could come of changing your mind in this situation. What benefits could come from opening your heart up? Because the heart is a very fiery sort of body part in medical astrology. What benefits could come from opening your heart up and changing your mind in a way that might feel scary? Okay. I think that is all of the message that I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching Pile 1. Wishing you the best of luck on whatever situation this is talking about for you. If you like this video, please take the time to like, subscribe to my channel. It's free, and you'll get notified of when I post a new video. And otherwise, take care. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the black tourmaline, then this is going to be your group. All right, so I'm going to start by reading the description for your oracle card in the guidebook and rolling some of these astrology dice to sort of get an energy check on your situation, get the vibe, sort of see like what this question you're thinking about might be in reference to. And then if this does indeed sound like your situation, I will then proceed to pull a little tarot to get your yes or no answer, and then finish it off with an inner child oracle message for advice. And so if you get through the energy check and this does sound like your reading, then stick around. We'll ask your yes or no question and answer it. But if it doesn't, the energy check doesn't sound like your reading, then you can try one of the other piles, or perhaps consider maybe it's just not your video today. But, you know, we shall see. All right. So, for your oracle card, we have Volte Fascium, the Despicable Face. So, let's read this from the guidebook and see what you're dealing with. Volte Fascium, the Despicable Face. Card number 48. Keywords: what is hidden, unaccepted, shamed. The despicable face is never seen. Rather, it is kept in hiding to save outward appearances. This card appears when something below the surface wants to be witnessed in order to be transformed. Everyone has their own version of the despicable face, and their own reasons for assuming that it's an abomination. It could be a buried resentment, an insecurity, or a physical characteristic that holds us back from expressing our true self. Remarkably, once revealed, it is not despicable at all. It's human. It's interesting. What once was thought of as an error becomes an asset on our journey of alchemical transformation. This card connects us to others and to humanity as a whole. Through acceptance, we lift the veil of perfection and reclaim our energy. Honesty and acceptance are the balm that heals the most tender of wounds. Okay. Interesting. Let me also roll some dice and see what the dice have to say. Okay. We have Mercury in Libra in the 9th house. Okay. So this card, in combination with these astro symbols, is giving me the energy of someone who is making a decision about whether or not to share something that they have really wanted to communicate for a long time, but they feel shy or embarrassed or ashamed or reluctant to share this thing that they really want to share. You know, you already heard the despicable face. You know, it's it's a form of our shadow. It's a thing that we keep buried and hidden because maybe the world or maybe society or maybe someone in our life, in our past, has told us that this part of ourself is unacceptable, that this part of ourself is maybe going to bring us shame or bring us pain or bring us failure or bring us ruin, you know? There's so many parts of ourselves that we are shamed for throughout our life. And even if no one directly shames us for it, we might still absorb messages from society, whether subliminal or overt, that there are certain parts of ourselves that are not okay to express, you know? And if it's overt, then maybe it's a situation where you've tried to share this part of yourself before and you've been punished for it, or it wasn't received well, or you didn't like the outcome of your attempts to share it. And so, in that way, we develop things that we repress, we hide them, we bury them in the shadows. With your astro dice being Mercury in Libra in the 9th house, this makes me think that it is like an idea or a system of belief or some sort of morals or ethics or values or something to do with education, something to do with travel. There is some desire that you have that you want to communicate with regards to maybe your values or your beliefs, especially with Libra here, but you don't feel like it's okay to share, or you feel uncertain about whether it would be well received. Mercury is a very friendly and relational sort of planet, and Libra is a very friendly and relational sign. But Libra is, I think, very adept. They're very good at holding on to their true values and beliefs and keeping them kind of hidden inside. Libra is not necessarily going to express what they really think in a casual social setting. Libra understands that being open about your beliefs comes with consequences. And so Libra will very carefully calculate and value and consider whether it is worth it to be honest about what they really think. And they will want to do it in a place where they feel like they can trust the people that they're sharing this with. So it feels here like your energy check is there's something that you have wanted to share for a very long time, but you haven't been sure whether you could trust the situation or the people that you want to share it with. Something about the context that you want to share these ideas or these beliefs or these values in, you're not sure whether it's going to be well received or not. That's definitely a thing that's coming through with both Mercury and Libra being here. Mercury is very kind of both and it's ambiguous. It's not sure. And Libra is also very like it's the scale. So it's like you're weighing pros and cons. And Libra is also the sign where the sun sets. It's the sign where the sun is considered to be in fall, right? So there's something about taking the sun, which is the sort of like pure, radiating, constant sense of self, the sense of one's spirit, and having to hide it for the sake of your social context that you're in. There's something about the people around you where you're not sure that expressing this would be well received. So, if this sounds like your energy in your situation, I think what we're going to ask for you is it safe? Is that what I want to ask? Is it safe for you to share what you want to share? I think I'm going to ask two things. Is it safe to share the thing you want to share? And then, regardless of that answer, would it be valuable for you to share the thing you want to share? So I think that's what I'm going to do for your two yes or no's. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Okay. Is it safe for group 2 to share this repressed thing that they want to share? Is it safe to share? We have the 6 of Pentacles. Okay. Oh, and if I haven't said, for the tarot, we are using the Headless Tarot by Violet Magician that I got off Etsy. Okay, so is it safe for you to share what you want to share? We have the 6 of Pentacles. Okay, so the 6 of Pentacles. This is a card that usually talks about someone who has more material resources giving to someone who has less. So in the traditional Smith Rider-Waite depiction, we see like a nobleman who is giving coins to like people who look poor or like they're begging, you know? In this card, however, we have a multi-armed figure who has got 6 pentacles sort of like circling above their head. And they're giving one of them to like this invisible hand that is here from the side of the card. And there's a bell. They have a bell as their head. So in this context, I'm feeling like your social circle or your audience or whoever it is that you want to share these ideas with might be more receptive than you think to you sharing this, even though it's something that you have felt like this deep sense of like shame and uncertainty and like I can't possibly bring this up to them. I feel like with the 6 of Pentacles, it's giving me the vibe of like you might bring it up and they might be like, oh, thank heavens, like this is exactly what I wanted to hear, or something like that, you know? Or like the other side of this is that it kind of feels like you have, through your actions and through your sort of like the energy that you have given to this situation or given to these people in the past, you have built up enough of an image of like certainty, and like they have enough like faith in you and your character that like prior buildup of positive energy will sort of give you grace with like, yes, this is a thing that might be difficult for them to hear, but it is more likely than you think that they are well equipped to hear it and receive it well, especially with like your crystal that you chose being black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is a stone of protection, you know, so there's a certain amount of protectedness here. And then the Six of Pentacles, the part of the zodiac that this corresponds to, the decan, is the second decan of Taurus. And so this is the Moon in Taurus card. And the Moon in Taurus is in its place of exaltation, you know, which is the opposite of what I was talking about with the sun being in fall in Libra. This is, the moon is exalted in Taurus. And in its place of exaltation, the moon is able to be lifted up. It's like sort of like sensitive and changeable and cyclical and fluid nature is stabilized and grounded by the earthy fixed nature of Taurus. And so you're able to get steady and stable growth is sort of the energy here. Yeah, okay. So like, are you safe to share this? The answer is maybe more than you think, is the sort of energy I'm getting here. You might be safer to share this than you think. And then the second question that I was going to ask is, should you share this? Ah. A very simple response. You have the Ace of Wands. Oh, and your bottom deck energy is the World. So, should you share this? The suggestion is yes. Obviously, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life, and you need to look at your own circumstances, look at your situations, and see if this advice is actually tangible and practical. You need to make your own risk assessments, because this is a general reading. I don't know what this is about in your life, but the cards are suggesting that you are more safe to make this move than you think you are, and that there is potential and opportunity for gain if you do share this thing that you are concerned about sharing. And that in fact, with the bottom deck energy being the World card, that it might be a great sort of like moment of completion for you to share this thing, that it might be a moment of like great sort of like achievement of like, look how far I've come, that even though this thing felt so like impossible and shameful and like I need to hide it away, that now I've come to a place where I'm brave enough and confident enough and strong enough, and I've built enough support in my life that I feel okay to share this. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna harp on this message too much longer, because it is quite straightforward. So I'm just gonna get you one of the Inner Child Oracle cards and wrap it up, because it seems very much like the energy is pretty clear from what I'm seeing. Okay. So your Oracle card is, speak to yourself with kindness. And I will kind of keep it here for a sec. You can screenshot that if you want to, or pause to read it. But I will also read it to you right now. Speak to yourself with kindness. The stories we tell ourselves create the patterns which we live by. Each day, our self-talk is either trapping us in old beliefs or empowering us to live a life of love and acceptance. Become aware of how you talk to yourself. Is it with a voice of love? If not, how can you speak to yourself in a way that empowers you? So yeah. Okay, so pile 2, the energy that I'm getting to wrap this all up is you have this sort of like hidden, repressed part of yourself that you have been maybe ashamed or afraid to share. Maybe you've shared it in the past and it has not been well received. Maybe you faced social consequences for it. But with Mercury and Libra in the 9th house, with the 6 of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands in the World as your cards, maybe the challenge here is to change the way that you talk to yourself about this part of yourself, to change the way that you internally refer to this belief or this part of you. Maybe Mercury here is suggesting that you can make friends with this part of yourself by sharing it with people that you trust, with people that you have cultivated a bond where you can be open about this sort of thing with. And that it can be a satisfying thing to finally be able to be open about this part of yourself. Okay, that is all the message that I have for you today, Group 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, leave it a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, it's free. You'll be informed of when I post a new video. You can leave a comment if you like. But otherwise, take care, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye! Hello, pile 3. If you chose the citrine crystal, then this is going to be your group. Okay, so first we're going to start off by reading the oracle card that you got and rolling some of my astrology symbol dice to sort of get an energy check of what's up with you, what's the situation, and then after the energy check, if it sounds like your situation, if this sounds like what you're thinking about, what you're dealing with, the question that you want to ask, then we're going to then stick around and I'm going to pull some tarot cards to answer the yes or no. And if it doesn't sound like your energy or your situation, you can try one of the other piles, or perhaps consider maybe this just ain't the video for you today. You can check out one of my other videos. But yeah. Yeah, so let's get started. So for your card, we have yellowing for your alchemy card. So let's read. Okay. Card number 14, xanthosis, yellowing. Keywords: aging, transitioning, warning. Indicating transition, the yellowing leads us into the next phase of our alchemical work. Envision the yellowing as pages of a beloved novel, or the ochre blanket of leaves in fall. This color seeps out to signify the beginning of the end, a return to zero. Even a deep bruise finds a yellow tint as it reaches its final phases of healing. In contrast, yellow can be the marker of a long-awaited growth, as seen in the first rays of the sun and the cheer of forsythia in February. Forsythia, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I assume it's a kind of flower. Whatever its message, yellowing tells the truth. It leads us forward, like the vibrant canary in the mine, warning of what's to come. Take heed. The transition is here, whether by yoke or bile. How to respond is up to you. It's likely you already know. Okay, so we've got transition vibes, especially because you have Xanthosis as your card, and then your crystal was also citrine, which is also like a yellowish orange. All right, let's see what the dice have to say. Okay, we have Moon in Libra in the 3rd house. Okay. Okay, group 3. So this is giving me the energy of a change in your environment is the sort of transition that is happening. Because you have Moon in Libra in the 3rd house. Now, Moon in the 3rd house is, the Moon is in a condition that Hellenistic astrologers would call it rejoicing. The Moon is in its joy in the 3rd house. So this is considered to be like the house, or the part of the, aka the part of the sky, because the houses are parts of the sky. The 3rd house is the house where the moon enjoys being. I've heard, I can't remember which astrologer said it. I'll put up like a screenshot, or I will like link in the description if I can find. But someone referred to it as being unsupervised, like planets that are in their joy are like unsupervised. So basically the moon likes to be here because it's kind of like her place. And in fact, like even the Hellenistic like meanings and names of the houses sort of derive from this system of planetary joys. So the 3rd house becomes the house of goddess, they call it, as opposed to the 9th house, which is the house of God, and where the sun has its joy. The moon has its joy in the 3rd house of goddess. And so this is a place where you are thinking about ties to the lands and daily rituals in its most like sort of esoteric form. So what does this mean? Ties to the land. What is your local environment? What's your neighborhood? What surrounds you? How do you get around? You know, what's transportation like? What are your neighbors like? What's your relationship to your neighbors? Who are you friends with? Do you know the creatures in your neighborhood? Are you friends with the creatures? You know, these are all very 3rd housey questions. And then the second part of it being rituals, like, well, this is the house of goddess, so it can refer very explicitly to like the kind of like esoteric rituals that people do, perhaps, but this could easily be like your regular rituals, like meditations, going on walks, which local stores you hit up the most often. Do you have recognizable patterns of behavior when you're living in this particular environment, when you're living in this particular neighborhood? And then with the sign being Moon in Libra in the 3rd house, the energy sort of becomes, like who are you friends with? What role do you play in the social ecosystem? Are you hosting things in your neighborhood? Are you attending things? Like, who are you forming connections with? And so with Xanthosis or yellowing being the transition, Xanthosis yellowing transition being the oracle card here, I'm getting the energy that your question has to do with a change in environment, a change in who surrounds you, a change in your neighborhood. So this could be like you're thinking about moving, and maybe you're wondering whether it's a good idea to move. Or it could be like maybe you're thinking of getting involved in like organizing something locally, whether that be like mutual aid or some sort of like club, you know, you're thinking about becoming, you're either thinking about changing neighborhoods or becoming more of a part of your neighborhood, of getting involved locally or of changing your locale altogether. So those are sort of like the two sides that I'm seeing with this. And maybe it's both. Maybe you're thinking of moving to a different locale so that you can get or be more involved in that environment. Or conversely, maybe you are thinking about getting involved more locally so that you don't feel as much like you need to move. There's a lot of sort of like those vibes around here, though. So I think what I'm going to do is the questions, the yes or no questions that I'm going to ask for you, if this does sound like your situation, I'm going to ask, would moving and change, or how should I say, would changing environments be satisfying for you? Is the first question I'll ask. And then, would being more involved in your local environment be satisfying for you? So, regardless of if it's either of those situations or both, I'm going to ask about both of those for the yes or no. As is the pattern, I've been asking 2 yes or no questions for every group thus far. And so, yeah, I think that is what we'll do. Oh, and then I forgot to mention, with citrine being your crystal, citrine often has to do with like finances or with like material goods. So that was partly why I said, mutual aid or like some sort of club organizing, is that you are getting involved with like the material needs of your local environment or of your neighborhood or something like that, or of your city even. Like this could extend as far as that. Okay, so group 3. Would group 3 be satisfied by moving / changing / shifting their local environment? Okay. So, for would you be satisfied from changing or shifting or moving your local environment, you have the Ace of Cups, the root of the powers of water. So in this case, it's giving me the energy with the Ace of Cups that there is the opportunity for emotional fulfillment or emotional connection from this chance to move. Yeah, because the Ace of Cups, like general keywords that you'll often see for it: love, kindness, friendship, partnerships, new beginnings. This can be spiritual growth or the growth of a new project. Either way, this is suggesting that yes, moving is something that could lead you to a new opportunity for joy, for satisfaction, for connection, for pleasure, for bringing emotional fulfillment to you in a way that perhaps your current environment isn't. So I'm seeing like your question of, would moving bring you satisfaction? Yeah, it might. It certainly might. But just keep in mind, the aces of, every deck are cards of potential. They're not cards of hard and fast guarantees, because of course, anything that you're going to make happen in your life, you have to put in the work to mold it and shape it and give it energy and give it direction. So it's up to you how any decision that you make is going to go. But the suggestion here is that the potential exists. The raw material for you to make a change that would be more satisfying and give you more joy and hope and fulfillment and love and friendship in your life, that would maybe give you the opportunity to start or work on new projects that would give you creative fulfillment even. Yes, moving environments, being in a different neighborhood, being in a different city, different locale, will give you the opportunity for that. It's just up to you to determine, can you take that opportunity and turn it into the thing that you want? And then the second question that I was going to ask, does group 3, what was it? Oh yeah, would getting more involved in like neighborhood organizing or getting more involved in your locale bring you satisfaction? Okay, would group 3 getting more involved in their locale bring them satisfaction? Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so for your card, we have the Lovers. And then for your bottom deck energy, we have the Five of Wands. So, in terms of getting more involved in your locale or in your neighborhood or in organizing or in clubs or in groups or something like that, or like just making local friends, we have the Lovers card. The Lovers card is very much about choices. So the choice here is giving me the energy of do you have a realistic idea and assessment of what getting more involved would like look like for you, or what it would ask of you? Because we have the Lovers card along with the Five of Wands at the bottom deck. The Five of Wands card is about conflict. And so this can be a conflict of like time. So it's like, are you going to have enough time to give to organizing this effort or to being more involved in your locale? Are you willing to maybe make the choice to rearrange your schedule or to rearrange your priorities in a way that you would be able to get more involved in your neighborhood or in your city or in this group or something like that? Are you willing to make that transition? Going back to the Xanthosis card, are you willing to make the transitions in your life that would be necessary in order to make this decision workable for you? If you have a new endeavor that you want to get involved with, this could also be even like I mentioned, like mutual aid or like, community club group organizing, but this could also be something like fun and frivolous if that's your vibe. Like this could be like trying to start like a D&D group or something like that. But if you've ever started a D&D group and tried to continue it, you'll know that it's hard. It's hard to have an ongoing D&D group because, like, first of all, someone has to be willing to DM. You have to have someone who's willing to host. You have to wrangle around other people's schedules. You have to be willing to make the effort to like flex around people's schedules. You have to have the ability to sort of like follow up with other people and get responses of like, hey, are you going to be able to make it? And so there's a lot of logistics and planning and small moving parts that go into any sort of third housey endeavor, going back to your astro dice being moon in Libra in the third house. Libra is very social. The moon has to do with like the general public, but also with our private lives, you know? So any of these themes could come up. And this could be like a choice that you're trying to make. And this is like it's a major arcana card. So it's a choice on kind of a grander scale. So whether this is in a new location or in the location you're already in, if you're thinking about making a choice with regards to starting a new project, a new group, a new club, a new hobby, endeavor in your local environment with other people socially, are you prepared to deal with the inherent sort of conflicts and dramas and nitpicks that come with being involved with other people in this way? Because to some extent, like one of the greatest challenges to doing anything with other people is being able to work with and wrangle and manage the people in a group to be able to sort of get them to cooperate. The nice thing with the moon in the third is the moon's rejoicing in the third. So this is a place where it's like encouraged for the moon to be in this social connection-y energy. But at the same time, that's the Hellenistic view on things, right? The Vedic view on things, moon in the third is a little bit, the moon is a little bit too sensitive to be in their view of the third house, because the Vedic view of the third house is that it's a place where like you compete. They consider it a more Marsy house. So you also have this duality energy lining up with the Five of Wands of like, are you sensitive enough to deal with people's differing needs in this? Or are you maybe like a little bit too sensitive to take on those tasks and those trials? That is fully a choice that you have to make after assessing your own capacity. Do you have energy for this? Do you have time for this? Is this something that you want to do? The yellowing card suggests like, yes, there are potential pitfalls to be found, but there is also potential satisfaction, connection, love, friendship, creative potential, and growth to be found in making this decision. So, as to whether it's a yes or no, the answer is assess your own capabilities and desires and capacity, and then make a choice based on that. And so I will pull you a card from the Inner Child Oracle as your sort of like wrap up advice. Please let us give group 3 an advice oracle card. Just a card for group 3, please. Okay. Your card is say yes. I'm going to hold it up here so you can pause and or screenshot, but I'll also read it to you. Say yes. Now is the time to open up and receive. It may be somewhat unnerving, but if we're not open to the many good things in life, they might pass us by. Practice saying yes to what you know will stretch you, things you might be a little unsure of. There's abundance all around us. Sometimes we just need to make space for it to appear. Okay, so very straightforward message. You probably have the capacity to stretch yourself to either move to this new place and make the best of the potential there, and or to get involved in this sort of like local social way and to field the potential conflicts and pitfalls that may arise. Because there is this potential for beauty, there's this potential to stretch yourself and to grow and to be able to make this into something beautiful that you cannot see clearly yet, but that could bring you a great deal of satisfaction. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there for you, since that final oracle card was quite on the nose. Anyway, group 3, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, please, if you liked the video. Subscribe to my channel. It's free. If you want to know about more future videos that I post, you can check out other videos on my channel if you'd like. And otherwise, take care, have a great time. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.